Good evening, y'all. Hope your weekend is going great. Last weekend before Christmas. Hopefully you got everything wrapped up and all ready for Christmas morning. We're going to dig through some Epstein files that the DOJ has released so far. They were required by law to release all unclassified files by December the 19th, but the DOJ says they need more time for redactions and they will be releasing more information in batches. So that's about all that I've seen so far. I haven't really dug in very much because honestly, I haven't had much time at all up until just now. So December 19th, as of this recording, was just yesterday. So it's still been less than 24 hours since the deadline has been reached. And I just figured I'm just going to dive right in. So first, I'm going to start with, let's see, where are we? So first, I'm going to go over the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It's not going to be a lengthy read. It's just going to cover the basics, just in case you haven't been tapped into this whole Epstein Files release saga, at least not in detail. So I'm just going to go over the basics with regard to this Epstein Files release. So the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which is the bill is H.R. 4405, passed by the 119th Congress. It's a bipartisan law signed by President Donald Trump on November 19th of 2025. It mandates the Department of Justice to publicly release in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials related to Jeffrey Epstein's investigations, prosecutions, as well as Ghislaine Maxwell, and the flight logs and named individuals, including government officials. Now, they have released the flight logs, and they've released some information that I briefly looked at, so we're going to check some of that out also. So the key provisions of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the exceptions allow withholding or redacting victim identifying information or materials jeopardizing active investigations. The DOJ must report to Congress within 15 days on categories released or withheld, redactions, and named officials, politically exposed persons. So, not very good at math, but I'm assuming roughly, December the 4th, somewhere around there, was around the 15-day mark since it was signed into law by President Trump. So the release status, as of December 20th, 2025, the DOJ partially released thousands of files, including photos and documents, on December 19th. They did meet the 30-day deadline from enactment, but they withheld significant portions with heavy redactions. Additional tranches followed on December 20th with promises of more in the coming weeks. Lawmakers from both parties, including Reps Ro Khanna, Democrat, Thomas Massie, Republican, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican, and also Senate Democrats, they criticized the release as incomplete and non-compliant with the law's requirement for, quote-unquote, all unclassified materials and potentially protective of powerful figures. Some files initially posted were later removed, and that's quite interesting. So I'm going to get into that. I believe that I've already got an article up here talking about that, about how there were files that were released yesterday on Friday, and the same files that were released are just magically gone. The DOJ took them back off the website. Not really sure why, but I don't think that the mainstream media, they don't know why either. They're just making the observation. And of course, they're digging into their conspiracy theory vault like they typically do. And the contents of released files, the released files primarily include previously public or leaked materials, plus new items, such as the following: photos of celebrities and politicians, such as Bill Clinton and Bill Clinton with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Also Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Mick Jagger, Walter Cronkite, a lot of famous people. Not seeing a whole lot of Republicans, not a lot of conservatives in this list. Michael Jackson, probably not a Republican conservative. Kevin Spacey sure as hell ain't. Diana Ross, probably not. Mick Jagger, Walter Cronkite, somehow doubt it. Maybe, I don't even know, maybe Walter Cronkite, that'd be my best guess, although I'd be really shocked if that's actually true, that he is or was a conservative. All right, so anyway, investigative notes, phone messages, evidence photos, no depictions of sexual abuse or a definitive client list implicating new perpetrators emerged. Many pages were fully redacted, which is quite interesting because I think that's what everybody was waiting to see. What are the new names? Who else that wasn't included in previous leaks or previous releases are going to be named with the latest? And I can't say that I'm surprised, because I'm not surprised at all. I don't think we're going to get any new information at all. I highly doubt we're going to get anything new out of this. Ongoing controversy. Critics accuse the Trump administration, including AG Pam Bondi, of delays and selective disclosure. The White House defended it as transparent. No major new revelations on Epstein's network have surfaced yet, though reviews continue. The act was modeled after laws like the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act for maximum disclosure. And here's some of the sources that Grok AI got from the information that I just read, including Congress.gov, CNN, and NBC News, The Guardian, Time, Wikipedia. I don't know why they're quoting Wikipedia, but it's on here. Massey.house.gov, The Hill, BBC, NPR, OPB, CNN. A couple of gov websites. Oversight, Democrats.house.gov, and so on and so forth. So these are all the sources that it pulled to come up with this information here. So the next part, did the legislation require the DOJ to release all files by December the 19th? The answer to that, short answer, is no. The Epstein Files Transparency Act requires the DOJ to release all unclassified records. So I didn't specify that. It's all records that have been unclassified. So, whether if you're a conspiracy theorist or if you just have a level head of common sense, you'd be like, well, okay, unclassified records. Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. But with any potential name that's out there that we're not already aware of, they could have just marked it classified and we're just not going to see it. So basically anything that's damning to any powerful individual or any powerful entities out there, they could just designate it as classified and give some whatever reason to classify it, ongoing investigation or whatever the hell they want, and we're just not going to get the full story. So anyway, let's see. Epstein Files Transparency Act requires DOJ to release all unclassified records with specified exceptions for victim privacy. CSAM or CSAM, active investigations, national security, etc. So national security, another thing that they could hide a lot of stuff behind. Well, there's probably about 150,000 documents that we are not going to release to the public because of national security. They could hide anything behind national security. Okay, well, what makes it a national security threat? Well, we can't tell you, because if we told you why it's a national security threat, that might unintentionally reveal the identities of those that we have to protect in the name of national security. So anyway, not later than 30 days after enactment by December 19th, 2025. And that's only one webpage that it pulled from, Congress.gov. So seems reputable enough. Did the DOJ fully comply? No. The DOJ did not fully comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It released an initial tranche of thousands of heavily redacted files on December 19th, but withheld significant portions, planned rolling releases over weeks, and faced bipartisan criticism from lawmakers. Well, rightfully so, because the law specifies that everything that is unclassified with regard to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell must be released by December 19th. They've already passed the deadline. So in essence, if there's anything that they're holding on to currently that is not strictly classified, they're breaking the law. They should have released it all by now. So, and it's ridiculous. I don't care if they have 50 million pages to go through and try to double check and make sure everything's redacted. Regardless, they should have just dumped everything, whether or not if they had a chance to look at it a fifth, sixth, seventh time, because now they're giving Democrats and any and all critics against the Trump administration and Trump's DOJ, they're giving them all this ammunition to go after them, and now they can throw any conspiracy theory at them, and it's going to make it's may or may not be completely sensical at all. However, they're just giving them that ammunition to speculate all that they want, and they're not going to be met with 100% pushback, really, because they're not complying. Why are they withholding this information? But that's the excuse that I've heard, that they have to go through and they have to double and triple check that everything is fully redacted, that we fully comply with the law. And also some judge ruled in recently with regard to the Epstein files that victims' names or any information that could potentially reveal the identities of any of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, it must be a very heavily, strictly confirmed that anything that's released cannot be in any way, shape, or form tied to any victims with Epstein. So the DOJ is using that as a reason to have to comb through everything again and again and again. They want to make sure, absolute sure, that They're not going to accidentally release something. And I'm sure that's what the DOJ is going to say with regard to those documents that they posted to the website yesterday, and then they yanked them right back off the website. And now the mainstream media and the Democrats are freaking out about it because, well, why would they do that? They had already carefully reviewed all those documents and they uploaded them to the DOJ's website or the server, the Epstein library. That's what it's called, the Epstein library. And now all of a sudden they removed them. And plus there's mainstream, the mainstream media at large, they already have that information that was pulled down from the Epstein library from yesterday. So it really doesn't matter. Once you upload it, the mainstream news is going to instantly copy all that information, which I'm from what I understand, they definitely did. So I got this from CBS News. New Epstein files include photos, documents with redactions as DOJ releases initial trove of records. And this was updated at 7:40 p.m. on Saturday, December 20th, which is today as of this recording. So what to know about the Epstein files? So the Justice Department released more documents Saturday from the Jeffrey Epstein files after an initial release Friday of thousands of photos, police reports, and other material, the first records to come to light under a new law signed by President Trump. The files can be accessed on the Justice Department's website here, which I've already got linked there, justice.gov/Epstein. And let's see, CBS News is also maintaining a searchable database here, which I don't think that I had linked up there. Scooch that all the way over here. Oh, nice, man. They've got a bunch of PDFs, a whole bunch of information here. Look at this. Documents 1 through 100 out of 4,117. So that's something that I will definitely be linking in the description below if you want to start combing through all that information. All right. So moving on to the next bullet point. Among the thousands of photos are new images of prominent figures, Epstein's travels, his various homes, and more. They also include grand jury transcripts from the various cases brought against Epstein and his associates. That is very interesting. I'm surprised that they actually released that because grand juries are always behind closed doors. It's always secret. From my understanding, it's not impossible, but it's extremely difficult to get a judge to sign off on anything that was said or done in front of a grand jury. So for them to have been able to not only obtain the judge or some federal judge's sign off on releasing that, they did actually release it. So that tells me that they very well could be releasing everything, but maybe not. So anyway, the Epstein Files Transparency Act required the Justice Department to release all its files related to Epstein by Friday, with exceptions for survivors' personal information and other narrow categories. Nobody's going to push back against that, Democrats included. Conservatives or Democrats, Republicans, whoever, nobody's going to push back on that. Nobody is, at least I don't think anybody's interested in knowing all the identities of all of these survivors, these victims of Jeffrey Epstein, which I believe total over 1,000. We want to know who was all involved with it, who was sexually abusing minors at Epstein's property. Who was it? That's what everybody really wants to know. Like we can quit dancing around it. That's what we all want to get to the bottom of, is exactly who was abusing minors around Jeffrey Epstein, in front of Jeffrey Epstein. Like even that part's irrelevant. We just want to know who was abusing the minors. Was it Kevin Spacey? Was it Chris Tucker? Was it Bill Clinton? All the above? That's what everybody, I believe, is wanting to get to the bottom of. So, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said the volume of materials means the files must be released on a rolling basis. Some of the files are heavily redacted, drawing criticism from congressional Democrats. CBS News has a team of journalists going through the files and is highlighting notable discoveries below. At least 15 newly released Epstein files have disappeared from DOJ's websites, the records show. At least 15 newly released files have disappeared from the websites, including one file that shows a photo of President Trump. And I've got that. I'll show it to you here in a second. CBS News downloaded the complete set of documents on Friday and compared it to what was available on Saturday. And that's how they knew that there were at least 15 documents that disappeared. So this is the image they're talking about. Let me see if I can zoom in. If I zoom in, it's probably going to get pixelated because this image, it's only 800 by, 800 by 568 pixels. So it's a small image, small in size. Of course, the Pope is right there. Bill Clinton is clearly right here. Not sure who this might be, which reading into the details, you could probably figure that out. like if they've identified everybody in all these other images. But what they have revealed in this image is President Trump being right down here in the desk drawer on top of a stack of photos. I'm assuming this may have been during the FBI raid that occurred on Epstein Island, or maybe not. This could be Epstein's mansion or whatever property he had in New York City. I'm assuming that got raided at some point. So did they actually dig through all of this, and then they found a picture of Donald Trump in there buried in these books of photos, and then they strategically placed it up here on the top? Probably. Or did that image of President Trump never even exist in any of these images that Jeffrey Epstein had, and somebody just brought it along and just slid it right in on top? I don't know. Probably, maybe not. I know it's conspiratorial to say that, but it's always possible. I mean, anything's possible. But even putting all that aside and just assuming that this picture of Donald Trump was just sitting here in the drawer and they didn't mess with anything, and they just took the image that we're looking at here as it is, then okay, you got a picture of Donald Trump in a drawer, and then meanwhile you've got a framed picture of Bill Clinton sitting up here on the desk. I think I'd have more questions for Bill Clinton than Donald Trump in this instance, being that Donald Trump is just stuffed away in a drawer while you got Bill Clinton front and center in a framed fucking photograph sitting on Jeffrey Epstein's desk, table, whatever the hell this piece of furniture is. And that's probably not the only framed image of, or a picture of Bill Clinton that's in Jeffrey Epstein's house. I mean, like, doesn't he have an original painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, like laying on a couch or some shit? I believe that was something that was in Jeffrey Epstein's possession. So obviously they were far closer than Jeffrey Epstein may have been with Donald Trump. I don't think anybody's disputing, even Donald Trump himself, I don't think he even disputes that he's met Jeffrey Epstein a handful of times. So there's not really any dispute with regard to that. But I would just say I got a lot more questions for Bill Clinton specifically, and probably other individuals in these pictures. Like, I don't know who that is. That kind of looks like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think it's him, but it could be Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know. All right, so that's the picture that they're talking about. And let me see what else we can get into here. Let's see, Department of Justice has not responded to a request for comment, of course, about that discrepancy about certain files being deleted. Deleted, removed temporarily, whatever you want to call it. One of the missing files showed a mass of framed photos on a desk, which is the image that we just looked at. They include former President Bill Clinton and the Pope. In an open drawer in the same image, there was a photo of Mr. Trump, Epstein, and Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Other missing files include photos of a room with what appeared to be a massage table, and nude photos and nude paintings. And apparently you could read more here. Not sure where this... I don't know why that it linked that, because never mind. Yeah, there is more details in this article. Okay, so the episode had deepened concerns that had already emerged from the Justice Department's much-anticipated document release. Let me see what this leads to. Is it just the same thing? Yeah, it looks like the same thing. How to view the Epstein files, which I already have that in another tab, which I'll get to here in a minute. So the tens of thousands of pages made public offer little new insight into Epstein's crimes or the prosecutorial decisions that allowed him to avoid serious federal charges for years, while omitting some of the most closely watched materials, including FBI interviews with victims and internal Justice Department memos on charging decisions. They could have released the transcripts of victims being interviewed and just simply redact their names and redact any reference that would lead to them being doxxed or revealing their personal information. I mean, they could have released interviews. I don't know why maybe they are. Maybe they will. Maybe that's what's taken them so freaking long. So some of the most consequential records expected about Epstein are nowhere to be found in the Justice Department's initial disclosures, which spans tens of thousands of pages. Missing are FBI interviews with survivors and internal Justice Department memos examining charging decisions, records that could have helped explain how investigators viewed the case and why Epstein was allowed in 2008 to plead guilty to a relatively minor state-level prostitution charge. Yeah, that's a fair point. See, this is like, in these days, in the year 2025, this is one of these situations where the mainstream media is relatively helpful, because they have the staff and they have the ability to dig through all of these documents and just start throwing questions all over the place. And they can look into things that I wouldn't have thought of. Maybe a lot of other people wouldn't have thought of, like the like just that last point that I read with Epstein being allowed in 2008 to plead guilty to a minor state-level prostitution charge. Yeah, there's definitely going to be documents somewhere that go into detail about that, like what was discussed, what did they have on the table. That's probably already public record, though. Like, what was he initially going to be charged and convicted of? But, you know, like what led up to that, and, you know, who was involved with that. So the records required to be released under a recent law passed by Congress hardly reference several powerful figures long associated with Epstein, including Prince Andrew, renewing questions about who was scrutinized, who was not, and how much the disclosures truly advanced public accountability. Among the fresh nuggets, insight into the Justice Department's decision to abandon an investigation into Epstein in the 2000s, which enabled him to plead guilty to that state-level charge and previously unseen 1996 complaint accusing Epstein of stealing photographs of children. The releases so far have been heavy on images of Epstein's homes in New York City and the Virgin Islands, with some photos of celebrities and politicians. That's what I want to try to find. I want to try to dig into those. There was a series of never-before-seen photos of Clinton, but fleetingly few of Mr. Trump. Okay, so that's where the mainstream media is going to start putting on their tinfoil hat. Well, the DOJ, they're purposefully hiding images of Donald Trump. Either that, or Donald Trump is just true to his word that he only met Jeffrey Epstein a handful of times, never flew to Epstein Island. The whole flight logs thing, not 100% sure on that. But of course they're gonna throw that out. But look, dude, like the picture, like I said, the picture that they released with this, they've got Trump stuffed away in a drawer, and then they've got Bill Clinton front and fucking center in a framed photograph. So who should we really be looking at more so than the other? I mean, I get that Trump's the president and everything, so let's just go through all the documents and see what you can dig up on Trump. But just, you know, of course they're not going to, but they should keep a close eye on Bill Clinton when they're digging through all of these documents, and Prince Andrew and everybody else, you know, the hundreds of people that surely have visited Epstein Island and almost certainly engaged in some very horrific things. But anyway, so where was this one? Okay, so both have been associated with Epstein, but both have since disowned those friendships. Neither has been accused of any wrongdoing in connection with Epstein, and there was no indication the photos played a role in the criminal cases brought against him. Despite a Friday deadline set by Congress to make everything public, the Justice Department said it plans to release records on a rolling basis. Yeah, that's technically illegal, Justice Department. You're supposed to release everything yesterday. It blamed the delay on the time-consuming process of obscuring survivors' names and other identifying information. The department has not given any notice when more records might arrive. Dude, they've had years. They've had years to redact all this information, and I bet that they already have a long time ago. So I don't know why they're dragging their feet, because I'm not buying that. I honestly don't fully buy it. And that just opens up the door to just endless conspiracies that the Democrats can throw out. And it's going to be impossible to debunk all those because the Justice Department didn't release everything on a timely basis. They didn't do it. They should have started releasing this stuff the day after Trump signed the bill into law. They didn't have to sit on it until the last possible day. They should have started rolling it out from day one, just to show how transparent that they really are. But as far as I understand, they weren't doing that. I mean, maybe there were some documents that were released before the 19th, although I haven't seen anywhere that they have. But I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying I hadn't seen that. So, all right. So I believe I already got that one out of the way. So this is another article from People.com, how to view the newly released Epstein files, and which, of course, I've got this link to the Epstein library, which goes into the court records, the DOJ disclosures, including disclosures under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and also the Freedom of Information Act, and House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform disclosures. So I'll dig into that a little bit, but first let me go through this and see if there's anywhere else. Also, this one I think I might want to look into also, because look, these are images. I mean, they are PDF files, which is kind of comical because that's one of those phrases or terms that you have to use on YouTube, because YouTube doesn't want you to say the pedo word anymore. So a lot of people, instead of saying that full word, they'll substitute that with saying PDF. Oh yeah, that dude is such a PDF. Anyway, I just think that's just kind of hilarious. But anyway, so these are all images, at least supposedly here. Let me just click on one and see what it is. Yeah, okay, so they are images. Looks like just one after the next. Just not sure if this is at Epstein Island or if it's in New York. If I were to take a wild guess, maybe New York. not 100% for sure. But anyway, I'll check out some of those here in a little bit. So let's take a look at the need to know bullet points first. Well, no, we already got that. Congress passed the act. We get that. On Friday, December 9th, DOJ released 3,900 more documents, photos, and other files related to the investigation, and the files are accessible to the public via the DOJ's website. So the DOJ released thousands more files in connection with the investigations into Epstein on Friday, December 19th. So the way that's worded, it does sound like that the DOJ has released information, unless they're talking about information that was released prior to Trump even signing this Epstein Files Transparency Act into law. So on November 19th, Trump signed. We get that. The files can be accessed on the DOJ's website, Epstein Library. The accessible files include 5 categories, which I just read. The DOJ's latest disclosures of files is comprised of 5 different data sets containing roughly 3,900 files. The newest batch of files include a wide range of documents and photos, including a full scanned copy of the book Massage for Dummies, a fully redacted 119-page grand jury filing, and a police report in which a young woman alleges that Epstein threatened to burn down her house. Interesting. So supposedly that grand jury filing is fully redacted. So I'm assuming if we look at it, it's just going to be page after page of just solid black lines. And this is an image that was recently released of Epstein and Bill Clinton. They're definitely very buddy-buddy, practically wearing matching freaking outfits, silk shirts or whatever those are. The DOJ stated in a privacy notice that all reasonable efforts have been made to review and redact personal information pertaining to victims and private individuals and protect sensitive materials from disclosure. That said, because of the volume of information involved, this website may nevertheless contain information that inadvertently includes non-public, personally identifiable information or other sensitive content to include matters of a sexual nature, the statement said. Let's see. While the agency released files on December the 19th, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced that the agency would not be able to release all the files in full, despite the Act's requirement that all files be released within 30 days. So on his X account, he says the DOJ needed more time to complete redactions in the hundreds of thousands of pages of documents related to Epstein's investigation. Nope, not good enough. I'm not sure if criminal charges could possibly be brought up. Probably not. The DOJ is the DOJ. If they don't comply by the deadline, I mean, I guess a judge could. If somebody brings something before a judge that tries to criminally charge the DOJ for not complying with federal law, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think they should be held accountable for this. Absolutely. Because when they were writing up this legislation before Trump even signed this Epstein Act, when it was still being debated by the House or the Senate or both, the DOJ could have chimed in and said that, look, we've got millions of pages to go through. 30 days ain't going to cut it. Let's make it 60 days. I think there probably wouldn't have been a whole lot of pushback. Okay, fine, we'll make it 60 days because, we got to comply with the law. So let's make sure that we give you ample time to get everything redacted and prepared. So that way, when the deadline gets here, there's not going to be any, no conspiracies, nothing sensational, no scandals, nothing like that. That way we got everything, clean cut, clear, packaged up. Got a bow on it, put it out for all to see, but nope, they didn't do that. So anyway, so additional responsive materials will be produced as our review continues, consistent with the law and with protections for victims, Blanche wrote. And Blanche said in an interview with Fox that his office expects to release several 100,000 more documents related to the Epstein investigation in the next couple of weeks. Again, not good enough. So there's Epstein and Michael Jackson, which was just released apparently yesterday or very recently. And all right, so I think that's basically it. There's a little bit more info there, which I'll link this if you want to read the rest of that. So I want to start digging into the nitty gritty. And I haven't dug through anything in detail at all. So I'm just going to go through it as I go. So again, this is on justice.gov/Epstein. And that's where you can find this. They've got a box that you can type in search the full Epstein library. Although I have no idea what you would type to. Here, let's try this. Or actually, let's do this. Donald Trump. How about that? Will that bring up anything? Here we go. Trial, day 3, 745.pdf, United States versus Maxwell, number 120, CR00330, SDNY 2020, trial transcripts. Epstein introduced you to Donald Trump, correct? And let's see where this goes. Will it highlight it or will I have to dig through it? I'm probably gonna have to dig through it, aren't I? All right, hold on. Let me see what page was that on again? 745. Yeah, 745. All right, so let me try that. Let's see. No, there's not even 745 pages. There's only 264 pages. Number maybe 120. Maybe that's where it's gonna be. Number 120. I guess I could try that. Looks like this might be it. Okay. I'm not sure about that. I'm not seeing. You know what? Let me do this. I forgot you could do this. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. So what page was that on? 110. All right. Mr. Epstein introduced you to Donald Trump, correct? Correct. He took you to Mar-a-Lago, right? Right. Okay, so who is this? Miss Menninger. So the court having a hard time hearing you. Miss Menninger, I'm sorry. Question A, I don't recall. So I'm assuming it's Miss Menninger. I'm not familiar with who that is. Apparently that's the person who's answering these questions. So Mr. Epstein introduced you to Donald Trump. He took you to Mar-a-Lago, right? When you were 14, you claim. Okay, so this is one of Epstein's victims. Yes, he took you in a dark green car. Yes, and you met Donald Trump there, right? Correct. That was before the pool house incident, correct? I don't remember that. If I could direct your attention to your conversation in the statement, I object to characterizing it as a statement, Your Honor. In the second full paragraph, does that okay? I don't recall saying that. Do you recall telling the government that Epstein told you that he had famous friends that he would call and put on speakerphone? That's correct. And you told them that he took you in a dark green car to Mar-a-Lago to meet Donald Trump, right? And she says, right. And that was in the beginning before the pool house incident. And objection. I don't remember saying that, and I don't remember the timeline of that. So it sounds like so I don't get it. Like it's saying like, do you recall telling, oh wait, hold on. Where did it go? Yeah, do you recall, or you told them that he took you in a dark green car to Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump? Okay, well, anyway, so yesterday you talked about group sexualized massages, right? Yes. I think you called them orgies, right? Yes. Okay, you talked about how those would happen almost every visit with him, which would happen every 2 weeks. Objection, okay. All right, so is there anything else from this point on that covers Trump? So you met Trump there. Mar-a-Lago to meet Trump. Okay, where's the third one? All right. So, yeah, it looks like 1, 2, and 3. So those are the only 3 instances where Trump was named, at least in that document. And so this one, Donald Trump. Did you ever massage Donald Trump? Okay, I guess we can look into that. All right, how many times? 2. All right. Did you ever... Oh, yeah, massage, not message. Yeah, massage. Okay, did you ever massage Donald Trump? No, I didn't. Sorry, I have to ask, but did you ever have S with Alan Dershowitz in the back of a limousine with Virginia and Jeffrey present? Objection. And the witness said, absolutely not. Holy shit, man. Well, that was a pretty heavy line of questioning. Okay, so nothing. So there's no dice with that one with regard to Trump. And did you ever massage Donald Trump? Yeah, it's going to be the same thing. All right, so page 33 of 40, accident or no, Trump's kids will not be voting for their father, Donald Trump. Oh my God, who cares? All right, so question, Donald Trump was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Is that not correct? May I'd be curious to know who's answering those questions. All right, so we got 2 in this document. Question, Donald Trump is a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Is that not correct? I really don't. My understanding is yes, but I don't have a lot of information about Trump. It's true also, is it not, that Mr. Trump was a frequent visitor to Mr. Epstein's residence? And the answer, I know that he visited frequent. I don't have a lot of information about Trump. And his name is circled in this book, is it not? I believe it is, Based on him assuming he's a frequent visitor to Mr. Epstein's home and that he's a friend of Mr. Epstein's and that his name is circled in the book, do you infer that he was engaged in criminal abuse of minors? The answer is no. All right, so that looks like that's it for that one. All right, let me get out of that. All right, we already seen that at that point. You know what? I'm going to leave that up just in case anybody wants to see that. I'll go ahead and just link that in the description. Okay, so what else do we have? Oh my God, dude, there's a whole bunch of these. I mean, this could take hours to go through. So it looks like 5 pages. Like, how many are there? Probably like, what, 10 documents per page. So we might have like 50 different instances where Trump's name was mentioned somewhere. Epstein versus Rothstein. Notice of taken videotape deposition. Please take notice. Jane Doe will take the deposition of Donald Trump on August 18th. Let's have a look here. Same thing, just search Trump. Okay, yeah, so let's go to the next one. Please take notice that the plaintiff, Jane Doe, will take the deposition of Donald Trump on September 24th of 2009 at 11 a.m. And that's it. I mean, as you can see here on the right, like there's that tab and there's that one. It says there's only 2 mentions of Donald Trump in this document. So that's it. The first one was just this title, taking videotape deposition of Donald Trump. I don't know if they're going to release that. I don't know why they wouldn't. If it's connected to the Epstein files, you'd think that they would have to release that. Okay. So we got this one. One of 2. Donald Trump's name mentioned, West Palm Beach. And the other one, same thing. Deposition of Donald Trump, 2009. Okay. Videotape deposition, same thing. All right. Okay. Well, this might go somewhere. Let's see what this is all about. I mean, if there's anything sensational with regard to Donald Trump that was just released, of course, it would be plastered all over the place. I don't expect to find anything. I mean, there's not going to be anything bombshell related to Trump. Mr. Edwards, in support of his motion for summary judgment, Edwards had a sound legal basis for believing that Donald Trump, Alan Dershowitz, Bill Clinton, Tommy Mottola, David Copperfield, and Governor Bill Richardson have relevant and discoverable information. Okay. Let's roll on to the next thing. Donald Trump with his name in parentheses, see Journal Exhibit F at 85. So it's just a reference to a piece of evidence or an exhibit. Provided notices that he intended to take the deposition of Donald Trump. Okay, that's not going to go anywhere. Let's see. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. Jeffrey Epstein, international money man of mystery. His pals with a passel of Nobel Prize winning scientists, CEOs like Leslie Wexner of the limited socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, even Donald Trump. But it wasn't until he flew Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker to Africa on his private Boeing 727 that the world began to wonder who he is. By Landon Thomas Jr. See article attached here to his exhibit NN. Trump allegedly banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club in West Palm Beach because Epstein sexually assaulted an underage girl at the club. So, that should be enough to just put the whole damn thing to rest with regard to Donald Trump anyway. I mean, provided that that's true. It's in these court documents. So, if that indeed happened, that Donald Trump banned Jeffrey Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club because he was assaulting minors, what else do you need to know about Donald Trump? Sounds like he's a pretty stand-up guy, and he would never do anything like what the Democrats are accusing him of doing. All I'm saying. I mean, it's right here in the document. All right, so what's next? Here we go. Trump had been to Epstein's home in Palm Beach. Epstein's phone directory from his computer contains 14 numbers for Donald Trump, including emergency numbers, car numbers, and numbers to Trump's security guard and houseman. Do you really think that Trump gave him 14 different phone numbers? I somehow doubt that. I would assume that Jeffrey Epstein probably had certain individuals, private investigators, that probably were able to obtain those phone numbers on his behalf. That would just be my wild guess. Not saying that that's definitively true or anything. I just find it kind of hard to believe that Trump is like, you know, we're going to be such good friends, and I'm going to give you my car number, my first office number, my second office number, my third office number, my first house's number, my basement's number, my master bedroom's number. I'm going to even give you my bathroom phone number, and I'm going to give you this number and that one. Like, come on, man, give me a fucking break. There's no way. 14 numbers. Okay, in his deposition, Epstein took the fifth rather than answer the questions. Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18? I plead the fifth. Yeah, that was probably to stir up controversy, maybe. Or maybe not. Okay, Nobel Prize winning scientists, CEOs like Leslie Wexner of Limited. We already read that, so that's just mentioned again, just repeated. Donald Trump, including emergency numbers, car numbers, numbers of Trump's security guard and houseman. Already read that. Relevant and discoverable information. Let's see. Next one. With regards to Donald Trump, Edwards had sound legal basis for believing Trump had relevant and discoverable information. Already saw that. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go back. I think that was different. Okay, I was introduced to Mr. Epstein by Ghislaine Maxwell. I was working at Donald Trump's spa in Mar-a-Lago, and I was prompted by Ghislaine to come to Jeffrey's mansion in Palm Beach that afternoon after work to make some extra money and to learn about massage. She met me at the spa, and I was reading a book about autonomy, so I was already interested in massage therapy as it was, and not having any of the education or, anything behind me. Okay, so not directly related to Donald Trump. It just happened to be at Mar-a-Lago when there was a minor, apparently, allegedly, that was lured to Jeffrey Epstein's house by Ghislaine Maxwell. So it sounds like Ghislaine Maxwell was using Mar-a-Lago as a staging area, or as a stalking area. I don't know, the whatever the phrase is, it escapes me right now, but she was using that as a forum to try to look around for people who she shouldn't be looking for, but she was. With regard to the individuals who were listed in Exhibit 3, specifically Donald Trump, Leslie Wexner, Bill Clinton, and those individuals. Okay, we already got through all that. So number 13. No, same old. Take the deposition of Donald Trump. I already saw that. So looks like these are just like cliff notes, probably just because it's at the bottom. Maybe this is like the glossary or the index or whatever. That's what it appears to be to me. Or just transcripts. Nothing that I didn't already cover. So anyway, yeah, so there's going to be a lot of mentions of Donald Trump. Not seeing anything explosive. Maybe since he's friends with Bill Clinton, Ron Burkle, and Donald Trump, accusations that he's R-wording little girls can be omitted from the news. Billionaire in Palm Beach S scandal. Read more. Bill Clinton crime. Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, media top. Sounds like news headlines to me. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So these are going to be news headlines. 151. Palm Beach Post. Tuesday, August 8th, 2006. I should be able to search. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you could search by that. So there's 21 mentions of Trump on here. But this is all mainstream media stuff. This isn't anything that we're going to find out that's new. This is all printed in newspapers. So, all this stuff it's already been published. It's already been out there in the public. So, yeah, there you have it. But that was something that was released. I mean, not sure why the DOJ thought that they should release this, because it wasn't created by the DOJ. It wasn't written up by the DOJ. This is all mainstream news stuff. Okay. All right. So anyway, let me go back. Let me see where. All right. Not sure why it's not. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, so I'm still here on the original page. I was using the search feature. Okay, so let me scroll on down to court records. Let's see what this is. See what these court records are all about. And what they have listed. Bryant versus IndyKey, number 1 through 19, CV 10479, SDNY 2019. Another case from 2010, 2019, other 2019, 2008. Okay, so 2009. Oh, man, there's a lot. Holy cow. U.S. versus Maxwell in 2020. Court records with more than 100 associated documents are displayed on a separate page. See files at. I'm just clicking on a random one. just to see what it looks like. Court records. Okay, so these are the court records, and it is quite extensive. 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 documents. 8. Yep, 809 documents. The trial exhibits, and we've got all the exhibits. Let's see, they've got redacted. Probably everything's going to be redacted. This one doesn't appear to be. Among the United States of America, Damian Williams, United States Attorney, yada, yada. Sergeant Michael Dawson, who previously testified in the case, would have given the following additional testimony on cross-examination. Okay, whatever. All right, man. Yeah, the amount of paperwork that's in court cases is just freaking staggering. All right, 0 series, message pads. Redacted, redacted, redacted. Phone message. Oh, okay. Let's see where this might lead. All right, where was that? So here's that. I think this is the one right after. Important message. Important message. J.E. Assuming Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see. January 30th, 2003. Man, dude, this... That's crazy, man. He saved all kinds of shit. I mean, why would you save this stuff? All right, so Tony telephoned. He has turned his cell phone back on. Same number, 561, so on and so forth. Not familiar with 561. This one's a 242 area code. Mark your bro. Okay. It would have been nice if they grouped all these together and you wouldn't have to go from one to the next. All right, let me do this. It's going to open up just like 4 of these. All right, Mr. Epstein, 2003. I'm assuming all these are going to be 2003. Redactions. So why are they redacting this? I guess because supposedly these are victims that are calling, I'm assuming. She will leave home, or I don't even know what that says. LE here tomorrow, or be here. Okay, so she will be here tomorrow at 11 a.m. All right. Yeah, that's what it appears. Sarah says 4 something Sarah. And Evelyn, that's what that looks like. Mr. Epstein, door on. Okay, so what is the next one? Please call back. It's very important. I believe that says. And please confirm. Wants to know if she should bring her friend blank tonight. Wow, okay. So it looks like probably another victim. And let's take a look at another one. Blank, please call. Redacted. Another one canceled. Explain. Phone call. Okay. All right, so not a whole lot there. So just phone messages that we got. Let's see what's down here. Is it just going to be more of the same? Yeah, it's going to be more of the same. Which, of course, they're going to redact all that stuff. Oh, shit. Didn't mean to do that. All right. Okay. So that was the exhibits. And they've got trial transcripts. So trial day 1 through day 19. 771. So, yeah, these are going to be transcripts. Communications in the court. Documented by the court. And again, this is just one random court case that I clicked on, one of the Ghislaine Maxwell hearings that happened in 2020. So I suppose I can go back. Yeah, US v. Maxwell, number 1:20 CR 00330. So yeah, man, there is a lot of information. There's a hell of a lot of information. Okay, so let me go back. So that's just some of all the court records that they released so far. So yeah, that was that one. Disclosures. DOJ disclosures. Epstein Files Transparency Act. First phase of declassified Epstein files. Okay. BOP video footage. Oh, we got some video footage here. FBI memorandum. All right, just a document. Video 1, raw video. Okay, so that was the prison video, which I think everybody's familiar with by now. Video 2, enhanced. Same thing. And let's see. Yeah, so this is all going to be the night of 12 a.m. If memory serves, I think that was roughly the time, right? Because there was that controversy that there was like, what, 10 minutes missing, 15 minutes, or maybe it was this whole hour that was left out initially. And okay, so that's the only video that they got, huh? That's it. Maxwell proffer, not familiar. Memoranda and correspondence. OIG press release. First phase of declassified Epstein files. The press release, okay. Evidence list from USB Maxwell. The flight log from USB Maxwell, okay. The contact book, which has been redacted, and the masseuse list. So this is probably the victims, I would assume. Yeah, masseuses. So these are the, I'm assuming these are the names that they redacted of Epstein's massage ladies who I guess we know are minors. At least I would assume so. But look at this. It's redacted. Of course, I'm sure the mainstream media is probably freaking out about this. Oh my God, it's been completely redacted. Well, yeah, because these are the victims. Which, what was the number again? 200? 254? Good grief. All right, so that's been fully redacted. The contact book. Let's see, is this going to be fully blacked out too? That wouldn't be very surprising. Okay, so the contact book, redactions for personal contact information. PB 2004 to 2005. So they've got first and last names here. Alan, Nick and Sarah, Charlie Althorpe. Oh man, this is long. 95 pages. 95-page contact book. Harry Bestone. Gene Bisson. Jean Bjorlin. All right, what about... Let's see if Donald Trump's name is on here. Marks. G. R. S. S. Oh, there's Donald Trump. They've got it squared there. And let's see. Yeah, Hair Associates. Okay. Businesses, doctors, cleaners. Okay. Security, travel. All right, here's some more T's. TH, TO. Oh, Blaine and Robert Trump. Not sure who that is. Ivanka Trump's on here. Ivanka Trump's on here again. Robert and Blaine Trump. Chris Tucker. Is that the Chris Tucker? The actor Chris Tucker? I wonder. Probably. That's got me wondering where's Kevin Spacey's name? Is that on here too? It probably is. SN Sparns. Yep, there it is. Kevin Spacey right there. Okay, what about Bill Gates? Probably. What was another one? Wasn't Oprah Winfrey one of them? All right, Bill G. GU. GO. GE. GAR. I don't see Bill Gates. Nope, I don't see Bill Gates here. All right, I'll just look for one more, and then I'll just move on. Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's see. No, not seeing Oprah Winfrey on here. But anyway. Okay, so go back to the list. So contact book. All right, flight log. Let's see what the flight log looks like. Oh, it looks like a flight log. Okay. How many pages? 118 pages. Good grief. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and full screen this. So that'll help a little bit. Of course, some of it's illegible. That's not too helpful. A lot of Jeffrey, understandably so. And then J.E. Ghislaine. But see, I believe that the who was it? Was it ABC? Or it might have been the one on people.com. One of them said that they had already gone through this, and they pointed out a few names like Kevin Spacey, Bill Clinton, Chris Tucker. Must have been that trip to Africa that would be in here somewhere. So, okay, so this is in 1992. This is a long time ago. 1992, August 24th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. This fucking dude was flying every single day. This dude was flying on a daily basis. September 5th, 6th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Where the fuck was he going? 4, 7, or 14, 17, 23rd, 26th. He flew 3 times on the 28th of September in 1992. Okay. November. Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell flying all over the place. Aircraft category, points of departure and arrival. Okay, so they do have the airports here. They have the acronyms of the airports. DCA to CMH, PBI to CMH. I'm not familiar. Like, the only one I know of offhand is TPA. That's Tampa International. It's because that's the airport that I use the most. TEB, DCA. Yeah, so this is a lot to go through. And some of it you can't even read. That's a little frustrating. Was that intentional? I don't know. You know, the Democrats, they'll probably say yes. It was totally intentional. They did this because they're lightening up the images so you can't make out Trump's name, which is totally right here. I mean, Trump's name's absolutely right there. I mean, he's going to be on all of it. Like, he's totally right here, but we can't read it. All right. Yeah, so flight logs. See, that one's clearly legible. That's a very good copy. J.E., Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, GM. So they're flying so frequently that they're not even just writing in his full name anymore. They're just initialing them at this point. This is in May of 1994. Oh, hey, look at this. Donald Trump right here. Well. This was on May of 1994, May the 15th. May 15th of 1994. So I don't know if that was just luck, but yeah, right there. Donald Trump right there, and then Donald Trump there, as well as Marla Tiffany, which, again, I don't think this is new. I'm not the first person to discover this. I'm sure, actually, if memory serves me correctly, I believe that's already been like a major topic of discussion from the Democrats. Like, well, he flew on, he's on the flight logs. He flew on the Lolita Express. Even though I don't know if this was exactly what that was at that point. Again, this is like in the early 90s. This was in 1994. So, but yeah, Trump's name's right there. I think that was kind of lucky that I just happened to see it. Maybe that's why that this was so legible. So they were like, we're going to enhance the hell out of this thing just to make damn sure that we're not going to leave any conspiratorial windows open. We're going to seal everything up, dot every I, cross every T. And maybe that's why that they have this one as clear as they have it, because they know that's exactly what the mainstream media, the Democrats, they're going to be digging only for one name. That's the only name that they care about. Any other name they really couldn't care any less about, even though they really should be quite concerned with Bill Clinton, because again, he's got freaking framed pictures of himself on Jeffrey Epstein's desk. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going to dig too far into here. I mean, I found Donald Trump's name, so he's in these flight logs, at least on 2 occasions, which maybe you could consider that just one occasion because both of those flights were on the same day. So, all right, so that was the flight log. The evidence list from USB Maxwell. Yeah, it's going to be exactly that. It's just going to be a list of evidence. So they're probably talking about electronics and flash drives, and yeah, that's exactly what they're talking about. Apple iPad, 2 Apple iPads. Like, who the fuck has 2 iPads? Well, here's a third one, 3 iPads. Okay, red rope. All right. 2 blue binders with 58 discs. Sony BM560 recorder. Computer with keyboard and mouse. Hard drives. Oh man, a lot of hard drives. Seagate Path /100 hard drives. All right. 2 white in color busts of female torsos. 1 brown bust sculpture of female breasts. 2 photos and 1 album page with additional 2 photos. 1 blue box containing various CDs. Sheets of paper, photographs depicting Epstein with 2 females. 10 photographs, and so on. So, yeah, this is the Ghislaine Maxwell, however the hell you pronounce her name. So that was during her trial, the evidence list in 2020. And, of course, the press release. So let me hop over here to this that was shared by, what was the shared on People, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was shared on People, or maybe it was here on CBS. All right. So, yeah, these are just images of Epstein's house, penthouse, apartment, mansion, whatever the hell. Wait, who was this? Or what was this of? Don't know. It's not letting me really zoom in very much. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of looks like Bill Clinton on the left a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Going on. Like file cabinet. File cabinets. Damn, big ass fucking house. Definitely like a mansion. Someone redacted in that image. A big ass marble freaking fireplace built into the wall. Good grief. Big ass staircase. Some like weird ass art shit. More weird ass art shit. Like, what the hell is that? I wish it would let me zoom in. It doesn't let me zoom in on the image itself. Yeah, actually, it kind of did this time. I don't know. Not sure who the hell that's supposed to be. Freaking weird. Whoa, what the hell? Okay, yeah, that's not creepy at all. What the hell is that? Someone hanging or like, yeah, all right. Fucking weird. Okay. Like some lady just like hanging by a rope. Man, dude, they must have photographed every square inch. Well, I'm sure they did. Why does he have a gong? Is that Karl Marx? Probably. Yeah, more images. Okay. Let me head back. Let's see what else they got here. Yeah, man, 4,117. Scroll over here. Yeah, see, these are all probably gonna be more of the same. Images. Just clicking on a random one. That looks like a different place. It's like an apartment. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like a place that Jeffrey Epstein is living in. This definitely looks like a, you know, like a victim type vibes. All right, next one. Yeah, more images. Heading back. Skip up further. Man, dude, more images. Let's go to the end. Yeah, it appears to be all images. Oh, okay, so here we go. These are images of documents. And, of course, redacted. Appearances. Operation Leap Year. Grand jury, Tuesday, May 15th, 2007. Federal grand jury. Jeffrey Epstein. So over here on the right, filter collection, Jeffrey Epstein 96 documents, Ghislaine Maxwell 25, Margaret Gerard, Jane Doe, Alfredo Rodriguez, FBI, Sony, U.S. District Court, American Airlines, New York, U.S., Florida, New York, Virgin Islands. Okay. Okay, shooting. Not sure who the hell that is. What that has to do with anything. It's in the Epstein files. This is all part of the Epstein files. I mean, I wouldn't think that would be a victim, because wouldn't they have had that all redacted? Maybe in a photo album. I mean, who the hell is that? I don't know. Driving his fancy-ass Mercedes. Freaking H2. People love shooting some guns, don't they? Ghislaine Maxwell. The fuck? Are they flying now? Yeah, it appears so. Okay. Some weirdo. Probably Jeffrey Epstein. Kind of fucking creepy, though. Oh, that's on a... Is that on a plane? Yeah, that's the airplane window. Yep, that was Jeffrey Epstein. Not familiar with that person. Not familiar. Fucking creepy. All right, that's the end of that page. What page was that? 38? 36? Yeah, definitely. They're definitely taking images of like photo albums. It appears, or maybe this was on a hard drive, because it does obviously isn't, images of photographs in a photo album. I mean, so what? They were just like constantly just like flying all around the world, just just enjoying the lap of luxury. Which is another question. Where did he get all his money from? Isn't that one of those big questions that we want to get to the bottom of? Exactly how did this fucker get so damn rich? And where did he get his hundreds of millions of dollars that he was spending on all this shit? I think that's still up in the air, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's already been answered, and maybe I'm left in the dark with regard to that, but I'm still pretty sure that they don't exactly know how exactly he got all this wealth. I mean, yeah, so that maybe someone might say like stock trading this or that. I don't know. Probably not. I mean, he was a professor or something, right? What's up with this dude with these man boobs? Fucking weird, man. But yeah, like he was. That was my understanding. Like his professional career had to do with like a professor of some sort, or he worked at a university or whatever. Maybe he wasn't even a professor. Probably wasn't. All right. Well, I think we get the idea. Just images of traveling. All right. A lot of traveling all over the place. So 4,117 documents. So far, the vast majority of these are just photos, images, just pictures. So page 32. Yeah, okay. So these look like more evidence photos. the hell that is. I don't know. It's framed. They don't have dates associated with this either, do they? No, they just got like a serial number. So anyway, I guess I'll just leave it there. That's about all that I've dug up so far. Actually, you know what? I do have this. So I searched Epstein here on the X platform just to see what the latest is, or at least the top posts with regard to the Epstein files release. So this comes from Clandestine. You all do realize what happened, right? Trump baited the Dems and the mainstream media into caring about Epstein via the Streisand effect. And now they are trapped. They have been screaming about the Epstein files for months now, under the impression it leads to getting Trump. Surprise, it leads to Clinton and the Democrats. The Dems were successfully psyoped into demanding the release of the Epstein files. Trump weaponized their Trump derangement syndrome. But most importantly, now the Dems will not be able to call it a conspiracy theory or claim it was politically motivated because they are the ones who asked for this. We made them beg for it. Congratulations, libs. You have been duped. Trump warned us about Bill Clinton and Epstein all the way back in 2015, but you didn't listen. You claimed it was a conspiracy theory. And here's an image right here of Jeffrey. No, that's Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell and Bill Clinton. Not sure who's redacted out of that image. So, of course, those conspiracy theories. Oh, no, dude, that ain't real. That's AI. That's totally AI. So here's Trump.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Uh-oh. There you go. Back in 2015. How you like that? Gunther Eagleman. Boom. Scott Jennings is spot on. The reason Bill Clinton's picture is in the Epstein files is because this has always been a story about Bill Clinton and not Donald Trump. We should call it the Clinton files, not the Epstein files.
Scott, don't you think that because they are not releasing everything that Congress and the president signed to say you have to release this in 30 days, doesn't it give more fodder for the conspiracies that exist? I mean, they're not.
Yeah, and the mainstream media is going to jump all over it. They're gonna eat that up like crazy, and they're just going to keep saying that Pam Bondi, the DOJ, the Trump administration, they're trying to bury shit. They're trying to dig through stuff, and they're just taking out pieces of paper here and there, just chucking it in the trash can, just trying to bury this and bury that. And that's why I think it's bullshit that they haven't released everything as of now, because it opens that door.
Following the law.
Well, look, they've released how many documents tonight? 200,000? More? 400?
10%.
But it's not everything. Dude, that really doesn't matter. You realize who you're talking to, right? You're talking to CNN. You're talking to the left-wing media. If there's 27 million pages that in its entirety of all the Epstein files and Ghislaine Maxwell files that have ever existed, and if the DOJ released 26,999,999 files, what do you think the mainstream media is going to say? Well, they didn't release all of them. There's still files missing. Well, there's a file missing, but it has to be in its entirety. And even if they did comply with this 100% and they released literally every single page that they were possibly able to do so without revealing the identities of victims and subjects of ongoing investigations, it still won't be enough, because the mainstream media will say, well, how do we know what you redacted didn't include Donald Trump? You did have a legal obligation to not redact his name, but how do we know that you just didn't just redact it anyway?
So a good faith effort is being made to release files tonight.
Really?
They're obviously doing that. And I think as it relates to redactions, I mean, my impression is that there's a whole lot of names of victims in there and minors and other people that you probably wouldn't want to release, and they do.
Well, they've had plenty of time to go through that. I mean,
Bill
come on.
Clinton, I'm sorry to tell you, the reason that Bill Clinton's picture is in the Epstein files is because this has always been a story about Bill Clinton and not Donald Trump. We should call it the Clinton files, not the Epstein files. That's what we're learning tonight. This is the Clinton files. This is the blowing up in the face of the Democrats over this.
Got him.
It's Bill Clinton. This is a story about Democrats and Bill Clinton, and it's always been that way.
Pictures of Donald.
And here comes the rabble. No. All right, Valentina Gomez, I'm coming clean regarding the Epstein files. I don't know who the hell this is. Who is this? Valentina Gomez, 600,000. Well, she's got a sizable following. Speaks the truth, cooks, as a financier. Okay, so she just some everyday X user. The Jeffrey Epstein list coming your way Friday, December 19th. That was on December 17th. It looks like AI, obviously. All of the Epstein files are being released Friday, TikTok. So, yeah, whatever. That was back on November 23rd. So, yeah, I don't think we're really going to get much other than those first. Oh, here we go. 12 hours ago, Democrats demanded the Epstein files. Trump set the trap, and they fell right in. So, it just looks like another just opinion. Let's see. Rigo Star, not familiar. I'll give it a minute. Let's just see where this
You
goes.
might not like the truth, but I'll never tell a lie. Oh, Democrats, you really aren't bright, are you? You've literally walked into President Trump's trap. While you guys are out here playing 3D chess, the president is playing 5D chess. Think about it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris sat with those files for 4 years. There wasn't even a single shred of real dirt tying President Trump to Epstein's crimes. Don't you think they would have dropped it by now?
Absolutely
Of course
released
they
that
would have.
years
They would
ago.
have dropped it like a nuclear bomb.
Oh,
They
fuck
would
yeah,
have
they
made
would've.
it the centerpiece of her campaign, and Kamala Harris would be president right now. But they didn't, did they? No, they held
they
on
couldn't.
to them because
There
they know
wasn't
that the
anything.
president is not in those files. Yesterday, the DOJ's release proved it, and the latest batch, well, former President Bill Clinton is all over them. Tell me that these two don't look like besties. But this is tame
I'm telling you, man,
compared to
might
the
as well
other
be wearing
pics
matching
released.
outfits.
Like this one here with an unidentified female sitting very
Well,
comfortably with the former president. Here we have
That
the
doesn't
former
look like
president
Hillary
again
Clinton.
with an unidentified female and a naked Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, and then we have
To be fair, I don't think she was naked. Do I still have that image up? Where was that? Oh, shit. Oh, okay. I know where it was. It was right up here. Wait, hold on. Let me just, because it's probably our, yeah, I think it already did. Damn it. Fucking X. All right. I don't think she was naked, though. No, I think she's got a bottom on, I think. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, to be fair. It's hard to tell. All right. So let me go back. Let's see.
You might
See-
not like the
see where he's
truth,
going
but
with
I'll
this.
never tell a lie. These two don't look like besties. But this is tame compared to the other pics released. Like this one here with an unidentified female and a naked Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, and then we
Ghislaine,
have
Ghislaine,
this
whatever.
bad boy. First of all, Bill's eyes
Yeah,
tell
that one looks a
story.
little
If
sketchy.
you know, you know. And as we see here, he is very much relaxed with another female who I'm assuming is a victim of Epstein, seeing as how her face is black.
Yeah, her face
Let's
is
not forget
fucking
the fact
dark.
that him and Hillary yesterday avoided their deposition again. Yeah, it's not looking too
They
good for the former
did?
president.
Oh, that's a little sensational. It's quite interesting that the mainstream media did not make that quite apparent to myself or anybody else. They're not talking about the fact that Bill and Hillary Clinton missed their depositions. I forgot that was happening. I forgot that was coming up. Here, let me just ask Rock real quick. So I'm actually kind of glad I clicked on that. I'm assuming what he's saying is correct. I just want to see if there's any details around that, like any excuses that they gave, any reasons. Oh, wait. All right. So hold on. Did they miss their latest depositions? No. Bill and Hillary Clinton did not miss their latest depositions in the sense of a no-show or refusal that triggered immediate consequences. Their depositions were originally scheduled for December 17th for Bill and December 18th for Hillary as part of the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. However, due to a report scheduling conflict, oh, bullshit, including a funeral, awful convenient, the committee led by Chairman James Comer. Wait a minute. Aren't there like a whole slew of people that mysteriously died and like disappeared or whatever surrounding the Clintons? Isn't that like this like enormous scandal that's been going on for decades that people just turn up dead or they just turn up missing or whatever with regard to the Clintons? So seems quite sketchy, a little sus that there just so happened to be a funeral that they had to attend with their depositions. So what? So when they reschedule it for January 17th and 18th, what is there just going to magically be another funeral that they have to attend? I mean, I get that they're aging. I get that like they're in their 70s now. So I'm sure that they do have friends that are passing away here and there. But you know, at their age, with all the people that they've shook hands with over the years, there's probably somebody whose hand that they shook in the past probably dying on a weekly basis. So anyway, the committee, led by Chairman James Comer, rescheduled them to January of 26, specifically offering January 13th and 14th. This postponement occurred around December 15th, 16th of 25 before the original dates passed. Sources across the spectrum confirmed the delay rather than any outright missing of the sessions. But look, their first deposition was supposed to be way back in, I think it was in September And this isn't the first time that they've pushed back these depositions. This is like the second or third time that they've pushed back these depositions. Bill and Hillary Clinton, they don't want to talk about it. And it makes you wonder why. It's almost as if you got something to hide. So Politico and CNN reported the depositions were delayed or punted into January amid ongoing negotiations. Why don't you want to talk, Bill Clinton? Why don't you want to talk, Hillary Clinton? Fox News noted Comer delayed them over scheduling conflicts while threatening contempt if future dates are skipped. The New York Times described a months-long dispute with the Clintons offering written statements instead of in-person testimony. No, they want to haul your asses in here. No written bullshit. No, they want to sit you down in the hot seat so they can pose questions to you. Not prepared questions, actual questions that you got to answer. As of today, December 20th, the matter remains in negotiation with no reports of the Clintons failing to appear on the original December dates. Those dates were practically rescheduled by the committee. Contempt proceedings have been threatened but not initiated. Bill Clinton has denied wrongdoing related to Epstein. Oh man, that is a laugh. And no law enforcement accusations exist against either Clinton in this context. Well, I don't think that was in dispute or anything. So yeah, there just so happened to be a funeral they had to attend. How convenient. All right, so let's go back to
It
this.
seems like the more they try to investigate President Trump, Democrats only seem to uncover their own crimes. And liberals
Isn't
are
it
losing their
hilarious?
shit on X, bringing up old flight logs with President Trump, along with his wife at the time, Marla Maples.
Oh, was her name on that when I was going through those flight logs? And I named off someone right next to Trump. I bet that's who that was, Marla Maples. I didn't know who that was at the time. So that was in 1990, was it May of 1994? I think that's when those flight logs were.
And their daughter, Tiffany. Let us not forget, the last time President Trump flew with Epstein was in 1997, a year before he bought Little St. James, Epstein Island. The trips the president ever took with him were from New Jersey to Florida, Florida to DC, and vice versa. I have a feeling the president has something cooking up for Christmas with these files, which is why they're releasing them slowly. Either president wants Democrats to focus on the Epstein files because he knows exactly what's in there. And I have a feeling that Democrats this week are going to have an oh shit moment and wish that the files were never released. Democrats have literally psyoped themselves in begging for transparency. President Trump already warned us about Bill Clinton and Epstein back in 2015 at CPAC.
Well, that means the Democrats know too.
Had a lot of problems.
But dude, why would the Democrats psyop themselves when they already knew that Bill Clinton's name was all over it? I mean, if Trump knew Bill Clinton's name was all over it, surely the Democrats knew that too.
Coming up with the famous island, and the media laughed. They called it a conspiracy. Well, like always, President Trump is always right. Liberals are so triggered right now, and I'll tell you why. They could care less about Epstein's victims. They only want to see his name in the files.
Yes, dude, Trump derangement syndrome absolutely blinds these people. These people have blinded themselves through TDS into complete incompetence. And it may just be that simple, that they were just so, they had tunnel vision to the point where nothing else mattered. We want to release everything because Trump's name's got to be in there somewhere. And they're just frantically digging through everything, chain smoking cigarettes. These rooms of all these journalists in the mainstream media right now, just smoke filled beyond belief. Like most of these people hadn't smoked in decades, and they're all just like frantically just trying to get down to the bottom of where's Trump? And he's just not there. He's just not there. And if they never had TDS, if they just maintained their level head of common sense that they were most likely born with, and that they had until Trump became the president, and then they essentially brainwashed themselves to be, psychopathically freaked out against Donald Trump, then maybe they wouldn't have been so gung-ho to release these Epstein files.
And it's not there. That's how you know that the Democratic Party is fake as fuck. You guys asked for transparency, and now you're getting it. But now I want to hear from you guys. Are you surprised by this brand new batch of photos?
Okay, yeah, well, it is pretty wild, man. Congresswoman Yasemin Ansari, that was back on November 18th. I'm not interested in anything that was like any older than basically yesterday. December 19th, remarks 30 seconds of Bill Clinton in the newly released Epstein files. Okay, so I'm not familiar with remarks. 85,000 followers, only 4 following, but it's got the gold badge, which I believe means that it's a publication or a news entity. I believe that's what hold on, let me see if I can get it. A verified account. This account is verified because it's an affiliate of Watcher Guru on X. Learn more, watcher.guru. Okay, honestly not familiar with Watcher Guru either, but it's got its own badge. So let's take a quick look at this. I'm assuming these are just images. All right, so we saw those two. There's another one. All right, saw that one. That's Mick Jagger, I think. All right, I saw that. Some additional info or images there. Michael Jackson with Bill Clinton. That's interesting. Well, Bill Clinton, he's having himself a grand old time. Okay. And this is 9 hours ago, and your name doesn't appear in the Epstein personal flight logs.
So let mercy come and wash away what I
All right. November 19th. Okay. December 19th. Epstein files in 60 seconds. What is this going to be? All right. Yep. Saw that. Okay. So pretty much the same thing. Hey, yours truly. Epstein files via Department of Justice. I'm really surprised that popped up on here. All right. Mr. Star Spam. Okay, so November 13th. Yeah, there's another one for myself. That was just a note to self to, like, if I couldn't find it, then I could just go to my profile and find it there. All right, 8 hours ago. This is it. The key to Epstein. Bear Stearns put him on BCCI trades in 1979, as it made millions helping the CIA, the Brits, the Saudis, and Israelis disguise covert cash by clearing $13 billion with BCCI, a CIA money laundering bank. Epstein simply developed that clientele and career niche. And so what, he just skimmed some of it off the top, and that's where he got all of his wealth from. This is a 35-minute video. There's no way I can watch this, but look, it's got 1 million views. So obviously people are paying attention to this guy. So I'm going to repost this and watch this later, but there's a direct link to my profile in the description below if you want to have a look at this too, or you can, if you want to pause it and write this down, at Mike Benz Cyber, BENZ Cyber. And let me see if there's anything else. It's kind of frustrating. So I can sort it by the latest, but if I do that, that includes just everyday comments from people, just anything relating to the word Epstein. It's not gonna, it won't sort the most pertinent or the most popular posts on a timeline. I wish it would, but at least I haven't figured that out. All right, November 18th, November 24th, December 19th. Here's another one, Matt Morse. So let me get this straight. In the Epstein files, we see Bill Clinton, Democrat former president of the United States. We see Hillary Clinton, who campaigned against Trump in 2016, knowing that her own husband was a child predator. Richard Branson, who publicly endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Kamala Harris in 2024. Kevin Spacey, who's a lifelong Democrat and avid supporter of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Diana Ross, who in 2016 received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Obama. Michael Jackson, who performed at numerous DNC fundraisers in the 90s and early 2000s. Also Mick Jagger, who spent the last 10 years publicly criticizing Trump and who publicly endorsed Harris in the 2024 election. Not a good day for Democrats. And this is 12 hours ago. I think we already saw this, though. Scott Jennings has CNN heads exploding. He just called the Epstein files the Clinton files. Yeah, we saw that. All right. November 18th. December 19th. Breaking, the DOJ just released a trove of Epstein photos with Bill Clinton. One picture has Bill in a jacuzzi with a redacted female, which we already saw that, so I don't have to play that. Another one, Asmongold. He says the trust is broken in Epstein files fallout, calls out the MAGA influencers who were staying silent. This was here, then how did you not know? Good, they're revealed, but the person who basically hid this info is still in a position of power. You know what? I'll hear out Asmongold. I respect the guy. Let's hear what he has to say.
Who's ready to see the Epstein files? I feel like Stevie Wonder.
Well, dude, maybe if you stop scrolling, maybe you can allow the images to load. Maybe that's why it's all blacked out, because you're just scrolling. You're not allowing the website to catch up. These are all probably photographs. As I already looked through. Now, I don't... So he's on justice.gov. So I'm not exactly familiar with this area, because as I showed, there was thousands and thousands. Actually, here, let me see if it showed it here at the very beginning. Okay, so download. Is there any way I can enhance this, man? Fuck no. Auto 720p, no. I really wish that X would get his shit together with video quality. Previous data set, download PDF. Okay. Yeah, see, it doesn't say exactly where these are located. All right, anyway.
Thank God for that, right, guys? Let's see. Is there going to be anything here at all?
I wish he would
Not
just
a
stop
single
scrolling
one.
and see if anything would load.
There's
Because
no way.
maybe
there's
it is
not
all
a si-
black.
There's no
Okay,
way there
now
is
stop.
not a single one.
Just
I
wait,
really think that there needs to be a conversation about
It's
the
probably all
fact
blacked out, to be
that
fair.
They said they
I'm
didn't
just saying.
have these files. They're really, because remember whenever they said they didn't have them?
Yeah.
Well, why?
I know, that pissed me off, too.
Like, what the fuck? If this was here, then how did you not know that? They don't exist? Exactly. Like, this is, and to me, like, obviously it's good that the files were revealed, but think about it like this. So, I don't ever think about stopping and getting mad at the cookies. I think about the cookie factory that makes the cookies. And yes, obviously it's good that some of this information is now out and it's made public, but the problem is that the person that, you know, basically hid this information from the public is still in a position of power. They're still, like, I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Well, look, dude, and as I mentioned before, we're at the point where even if they say they released every single thing that they can possibly release, there's always going to be a lot of doubt, because just as he said earlier this year, where they said, well, we've already released everything. There's nothing else to release. You know, we've released everything that we can legally or be authorized to release. And they just left it at that. And then Democrats kept freaking out like, no, you didn't release all the files, release all the files. And they kept demanding it month after month until finally we get all this information. We get thousands, if not tens of thousands of pages of documents. Actually, the Justice Department said that there's, what was it? It was hundreds of thousands that they still have yet to release, if I'm not mistaken, that I read somewhere. So on one hand, we were lied to. Not even on one hand, we were blatantly lied to earlier this year when they said that they released everything, and obviously they didn't. So even after they drop all these tranches of documents, all of these binders, all of these groups, these piles of digital documents that they make available to the public, and once they're done releasing everything, the DOJ says, okay, we just released the last batch of all the Epstein files that we have. So now it's all out there. It's all transparent. It's all out there. Anybody can go look at it. How do we really know that that's everything that they have, though? And even though we already know that that's not everything that they have, because any quote-unquote ongoing investigation, we're not going to get any of that information. And it's just always going to leave that door open to just question that. What about the really important stuff? Involving very powerful people, maybe not even famous people for that matter, just very powerful people in the dark, those pulling the strings, the establishment, the people that we're not aware of that are out there, that are, you know, a lot of people are doing their bidding.
So there's no way for us to be certain about what's still being reserved, what's being withheld, what's not being shown.
They already said they're withholding
And
information.
so this is the problem that
Ongoing
I have, is
investigations.
that the trust is broken, and people.
Now here's another question that I have. Once these ongoing investigations that they're referencing as to Epstein documents that they cannot release at this time because the Epstein Act that was signed allows the DOJ to withhold information that's related to any ongoing investigations surrounding Jeffrey Epstein. Once those ongoing investigations are concluded, do they have a legal obligation to release those immediately? I would say absolutely they do, but will they?
People don't know, like, why is it that you said you didn't have anything and there were no files, but now there's a law and there's a bunch of files? There's 300,000 pages of files.
Well, and we
It's
didn't get them all
relatively
yet.
Inaccurate.
They already broke
But
the
I
law.
will tell you this.
Because they already passed the
Anybody
date.
who's not taught any of these, like, right-wing, like, MAGA influencer people that are not talking about the Epstein files,
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
they're compromised. They are
Possibly,
the same thing
potentially.
as, like, those deranged leftists that keep saying that Ethan Klein was suing Casey Tron and Denims for, because he hates women. Like, these are two sides of the same coin. It's the same thing.
And look, that is definitely not my position at all. I mean, I'm a conservative. Obviously not on the level of any kind of influencer. I mean, I just run this channel as a hobby because I've just got the spare time to do it. And I've been critical of that too. The Epstein files were to be dropped on December 19th in their entirety. Everything was supposed to be strictly redacted to prevent victims' names from being compromised, and that's it. Everything else is supposed to be dropped. And then this stupid ongoing investigation loophole where they can pretty much hide whatever the hell they want behind that, and none of us are really any the wiser. And I believe that he's right, because I pay attention to conservative influencers. I watch YouTube. I mean, I watch YouTube on a daily basis. There's a whole bunch of different channels that I watch on a regular basis. And on my YouTube feed, I haven't seen anybody talking about this. Asmongold, he's the first person that's actually talking about it, other than me just having to go through and just try to find it all on my own. And I just happen to stumble across Asmongold talking about it. So perhaps maybe it might be YouTube. Maybe YouTube isn't showing the videos that these conservative influencers have been talking about with the Epstein files over the last 24 hours. And maybe Asmongold hasn't seen it either. Maybe it's YouTube trying to bury all that. I highly doubt it. I just think that they're just not talking about it. Are they compromised? I don't know. Don't know about all that.
It's just maybe one of them you agree with, so you're giving it a pass. They're totally compromised.
Well, why would they be compromised anyway? Like, why would that even have to be a position that they take if Trump's not in any of this? They should be pushing all this into the limelight, especially with all of these revelations of these new images of Bill Clinton. And now there's Michael Jackson, and now they're talking about Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker and all that, which I don't think that's anything that we just learned over the last day. I just don't know why they wouldn't be talking about this, because, I mean, so far we found that there's nothing new with regard to Donald Trump, but there is new information with regard to Democrats.
This is a massive story. Everybody should be talking about this.
Yeah, it is a massive story.
If you're not, I think you've got a good fucking reason.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know exactly where he's going with that. But, you know, that's his opinion. All right. 13 hours. Gain of Fauci. These 30 seconds of Donald Trump and the Epstein files are damning and should end his presidency immediately. Obviously not. It's Bill Clinton. Clickbait. All right. So November 18th. Moving on. December 19th. Chris Stigall. This week we found out that the Mar-a-Lago raid was not legally executed. Georgia was stolen in the 2020 election. Trump's tariffs have not caused inflation, and Bill Clinton was Epstein's #1 pal. Oh, and the congressional Dem approval is negative 55 overall on Quinnipiac. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I even showed that video. Was it on Thursday or was it yesterday? I think it was on Thursday, where CNN had reported that congressional Democrats have polled at the lowest in the history of the Democratic Party in Congress. Ever. They've never polled lower than where they're currently polling. Ever. Which is freaking wild, man. Even for CNN to come out and say that, of all people. Incredible. All right, so 7 hours ago, Lisa B. Pepper Epstein is the keystone to the whole MFN matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Enjoy the show. The justice cometh. Who knows? I don't even know where this is going.
Is Hillary Clinton, and Epstein is Haiti, and Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein?
Welcome to the internet, y'all.
Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep. All of the above.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Oh, look at all those influential people up there
Epstein?
on the Lolita
Epstein
Express.
is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. Dropping red pills in the best kind of way. This is brackets and jackets for the denizens of islands.
Okay, well, that was kind of wild. Very interesting video. All right, so here's another one from yesterday. Wow, no wonder they had Jimmy Kimmel running cover for Epstein and trying to push off guilt to Trump. No wonder they shut down the government so the Clintons didn't have to appear for testimony months ago and delayed it again. Ooh, so that's a whole new perspective that I didn't consider or hear about. Perhaps the Democrats, they shut down the government for 43 days to prevent Bill and Hillary Clinton from testifying. I think that's ridiculous because one way or another, I think they're going to get them in there and testify, but maybe not. They've been able to delay it up to this point to where they were supposed to testify this week, and they didn't. And they were able to push it back to January. So what's the next thing that they're going to concoct? What other convoluted excuse are they going to have to not appear for the next one, and then the next one, and the next one? So I don't know if I'm going to get copyright struck. I think I might for playing this. That happened to me once already on The Swamp. I played an opening. So when Jimmy Kimmel, when they, remember earlier, what was that, a month or 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, when they yanked him off the air for a few days? Well, I played his opener on The Swamp, which is a show that I do Monday through Friday. And the YouTube it struck my video completely. It wouldn't let me release my video. It privated my video until I either cut out that scene altogether. Actually, I think that was the only recommendation that it gave me. It wouldn't even let me mute it and play it through. So very reluctantly, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play this because I think it's going to happen again because obviously this is an opener or it's a segment from Jimmy Kimmel. So I'll repost it. So if you want to check that out, you can watch it. I'm definitely going to watch that after I finish this video. And December 19th, another one. There are thousands of Epstein files. There are numerous Bill Clinton photos with numerous alleged victims and women. There's also Chris Tucker, Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Kevin Spacey, and many more VIPs. These are just a few pics and files. I'll be coming through the files and posting them as I go. Department of Justice link, which I've already gone through. So he said he's going to post more. So let me see if he's got anything else on here. 7 hours ago. Does that have anything to do? It doesn't look like that's Epstein related. Oh, wait. Oh, okay, so this is an image that they took. So Democrats' attempted slander campaign against Trump fails again. Exactly why their approval rating is at 18%. Trump is pictured with models from a contest or event he owns or attended. Yeah, doesn't he own, or didn't he own the Miss America, Miss Universe pageant company, whatever you call it? As far as my understanding is that he does. Okay, so this apparently is Donald Trump as well. At least I'm assuming. I mean, it looks like him. So I didn't notice that when I was going through that initially. Okay, so Dominion election fraud exposed. Stacey Plaskett. Okay, so all right, hold on. Stacey Plaskett knew about Epstein traveling to the Virgin Islands with underage girls and still asked for $30,000 in campaign donations. She's not strictly speaking a congresswoman. She's, what do they call her? A delegate? I think they call her a delegate. She's basically like the U.S. territories equivalent of a congresswoman. She goes into Congress, and I believe she's on a congressional committee. It's like, wait a minute. You're not an ironclad member of Congress because you don't represent a state. You represent a U.S. territory, but you still have the authorization to sit on a congressional committee. Apparently she does, because I believe she's on one. In a stunning disclosure from the freshly declassified Epstein documents, Delegate Stacey Plaskett's 2023 testimony reveals her awareness of Jeffrey Epstein's journeys to the Virgin Islands alongside young girls. She further confesses to repeated visits to his St. Thomas office, initiating phone calls with him on at least 5 separate occasions and making a direct trip to his New York residence to pursue campaign donations for herself and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, or the DCCC. And this is, so this is just going to be an image. So looks like probably in the latest release of the files, I'm assuming. So here, let me scooch this over a little bit and let's see what's highlighted. Okay, about how many times did you meet with him in his office? I would have to speculate. In office in St. Thomas? Yes, I would have to speculate. More than once, do you believe? Yes. But less than 5 times? Yes. About how many times did you speak to Mr. Epstein on the phone? I don't recall. More than 5 times. It just goes on from there. Stacey Plaskett. So what are the limits? At that time, I believed an individual could give over $30,000. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was in the range of $30,000. How much did you ask Mr. Epstein to give? To the maximum, whatever that maximum was. And So it goes on up here. And number 4, did you ever hear that when Mr. Epstein traveled to the Virgin Islands, he often had young women with him? What time frame are you asking me? Did I know? And the next question I was posed, ever, any time frame. And she says, yes. How did that first meeting come about? At best, can you recall? She says, well, I was running for office. I was, as individuals running for office do, looking for contributors, donors. Erica Kellerhalls introduced me to Mr. Epstein as a potential donor. And at the time were you introduced, withdrawn? Where was the first meeting with Mr. Epstein? At his office in St. Thomas. Do you remember about how many times you met with Mr. Epstein? I don't recall. More than 5 times. Okay, so we already got that. So there you go, man. Stacey Plaskett, the delegate from the Virgin Islands, which, of course, she was cozying up to him because he had some big-ass mansion on an island that he owned in, surprise, surprise, the Virgin Islands. So very interesting. There are thousands of Epstein files. There are numerous Bill Clinton photos with numerous alleged victims and women. Okay, yeah, so, all right. Oh, wait, all right, hold on. I actually didn't mean to click back that far. Let me see if there's anything else that he had put on here. 12 hours, the facts about Bill Clinton and his relationship with Epstein. Bill Clinton had Epstein at the White House 17 times. Bill and Hillary ditched a Secret Service numerous times and went to Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico directly from the White House. Bill Clinton is listed on the flight logs of the Lolita Express as a passenger 26 times. He was never listed on any other aircraft that Epstein owned besides the Lolita Express. 4 to 6 of those 26 trips included multi-stop trips. As of recently, there is no evidence now that Bill Clinton flew directly to or from Epstein's Island, but one log entry shows a September 15, 2003 flight departing from the U.S. Virgin Islands to Palm Beach with Bill Clinton aboard, but does not indicate he arrived by Epstein's plane or visited the island. Usually, people land nearby St. Thomas Island and take a boat or helicopter to Epstein Island. Ghislaine Maxwell did have a helicopter flying license and owned her own helicopter. Yeah, that's probably how he got there. All right, so what the fuck is going on here? I believe we have AI shenanigans. Be careful because there's no way both of these pics are real. I believe the Branson pic is the real one, or are they both fake? I honestly don't know. Not sure. I don't see like extra digits on their fingers or anything. You know, some of those telltale signs that this would be an AI generated image. Not to say that it's not. I don't know. 23 hours in-depth breakdown on Epstein, the Clintons, and the intelligence blackmail operations that control our world. It's always been about the children, power, and control. The million-dollar question is who is at the top, and are operations still running even after Epstein's death? Well, yeah, dude, Epstein was just a pawn in this whole grand scheme. And I think that, I don't know if the CIA is at the very top of it, but I think the CIA has a lot involved in not only Epstein, but pretty much everything that's been going on with regard to the establishment, the ultra elites, the depopulation agenda. Not to put on my tinfoil hat or anything. I just believe that they are in a large way the vehicle for getting a lot of this stuff just, ran through society to the extent that it has, to the point where they're encouraging full-term abortions, and women can be men now and men can be women. All you have to do is just remove your genitalia. The whole depopulation thing, Okay, so December 19th, DOJ says it has 300 gigabytes of Epstein files. Today, it released 2.5 gigabytes. That's only a total of 0.83%. Yeah, that kind of makes you wonder. 63,000 likes, man. Holy shit. All right, SCIF. What's even more disturbing is that our own government knew what was really going on with Epstein for decades before anything was ever done about it. Yes, that is a child on Epstein's lap. Oh my God, dude. Wow. All right, just because Epstein is gone doesn't mean the blackmail and child trafficking operations have ended. Epstein's blackmail operation was so sophisticated since he was mostly likely an asset of foreign and domestic intelligence agencies that he even had a private submarine in port that Ghislaine would pilot that would be used to bring victims and VIPs to the island. U.S. military built a submarine base on St. Thomas Island, which is just 8 miles from Epstein Island. And right next to his military submarine base just happens to be Water Island, owned by Joe Biden's brother, James Biden, and their business associates. Interesting. And there's Richard Branson, owner and CEO of Virgin and Necker Island, which is just a short boat ride from Epstein or James Biden's Water Island, located on the British side of the Virgin Islands. There's no coincidence that Branson picked Virgin as his company name. Yeah, really. Branson was just spotted in the new Epstein files released and is confirmed to frequently spend time with Epstein well after he was charged and convicted the first time for crimes against minors. Branson was also said to be involved in held parties on his island for the sex trafficking cult called NXIVM, which would have its victims branded with a cottering iron, in which multiple high-profile individuals went to prison for, including celebrities and members of the Bronfman family, the heirs of the multi-billion-dollar Seagram's Liquor Company. See, I didn't know any of that. That's very interesting. Epstein files renew suspicions that he was working for Mossad to blackmail the elite. Richard Branson had breakfast with Jeffrey Epstein 3 years after the pedo was jailed for child prostitution, court document says. RFK Jr. claims Biden's HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking. Feds admit child S trafficking reports triple under Harris and Biden. Quite interesting. All right. Epstein files, victim interviews from authorities, and photos that show just how sick and disturbing Epstein really was. The things that these young girls say are very disturbing, and the amount of photos Epstein would take of these girls and everywhere they went show how obsessed Epstein was with young girls. You have to pause the pages throughout the video and read what Epstein put these girls through. Definitely sounds too hot for YouTube, too spicy for YouTube, in the way that YouTube's probably not going to like some of the language that's going to be in here, but I reposted that as well. If you want to check that in the description, direct link to my profile, or you can go to the SCIF. Probably be the better one to go to, would be to go here, because this individual is posting a lot of updates with regard to the Epstein files release. But anyway, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just cut the video there. I've been going, almost 2 hours, but I got through pretty much everything that I planned on going through. Of course, not going to have nearly enough time to go through all of those files, just showing you just a little taste of what's on there, or what's in there on the justice.gov/Epstein. And that's where you can go and view all of the documents that they've released so far. And plus this treasure trove of images that the mainstream news has collected and shared, which I'll link in the description below too. It starts with journaliststudio.google.com. So if you see that link down in the description, it takes you directly to all of these pages, these 4,117 images related to the new Epstein files. So anyway, that's going to be it. I don't know if I'm going to do another video this weekend. I probably will. I'll probably drop something tomorrow. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a quick like if you have a second, and consider subscribing to the channel. I do the Swamp Monday through Friday, which covers everything happening in DC, the bureaucrats, the politicians, and the agencies, and everything happening in the swamp on a daily basis. And the next one will be on Monday at 11 o'clock p.m. Hope to see you there. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend, and God bless America.